Another question, what happens in instances where you are unable to reach the landowner?
Well, what happens probably depends on what stage of that property acquisition process we're in. So if it's at a stage where we need to access the property, that's probably going to be determined by the specific entity. And, are we talking about a governmental entity or maybe a private company, and what options do they have available to them in terms of entry? If we're at the actual, we know what we need to acquire and we're going to go acquire it, if we can't identify the landowners, that may be a case where we need to use condemnation to address that title issue, to get in front of the court to make sure that there's someone appointed for those unknown owners and move through the condemnation process that way.
Kristen indicates, I did eminent domain in Oklahoma for 5 years. It sounds like Texas goes to immediate condemnation in a way. We gave 3 counter offers here, then if not accepted, went to condemnation. I guess you wanted to confirm if
I'm so glad
accurate.
you asked this. Okay, so under statute, we do need to send the IOL and the FOL. So that is a 2-step landowner process dictated by statute, but that does not mean that that is, I think, indicative of how these projects typically go in terms of landowner outreach. So I think, there's going to be a wide variety, I think, in actual condemnation rates between entities, between types of projects. But, ultimately, I think for a lot of entities with condemnation authority, that percentage of actual acquisitions being obtained that way is still probably pretty low. And that means there's a lot of interaction between those 2 letters, and then even more before a petition's being filed. So while those are only 2 letters required, not 3, I do think it's really important that folks hear that's an ongoing discussion with landowners. And you could have a project that's following those statutory timelines very prescriptively, but often I don't think that's the case, and those timelines for any project will reflect, the engagement with the landowners that is occurring on the ground.